Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of a run through, and today we're taking a look at Ziggurat 2. It is available on Steam. I believe it's $20 in early access at the moment. It is a rogue like first-person shooter by virtue of wizardry. So it's sort of like you have spells, or spell books, wands. There are some kind of weapons like shotguns, other stuff, fire grenades, that kind of deal. This is a run I'm already in. So I'm going to kind of work through it a little bit and explain some things, and then jump into the menu stuff, because there's quite a bit of options for tweaking the game, as far as maybe not tweaking the game itself, but as for per run and stuff like that. So you sort of have, you have like 4 weapons, generally speaking. Your wand never runs out of energy, it just recharges itself. I found, I think, 5 or 6 of these already, so there's quite a few different ones there. You have a spell book. As you can see on the right, all the stuff there is going to be like your mana tied to weapon type. So it's like these ones are spells. There's going to be staff, and then there's I can't remember the name they use. It's like something for modernize or like alchemy weapons, I think it is. I will say also, I didn't play the first Ziggurat. I actually didn't know that I owned it, so I went back and played a little bit of it before picking this one up, just to see like kind of the foundation that the game was standing on before I went and purchased another one. But the reviews were all really positive, and so I wanted to kind of see what it was. It really reminds me of like if you put what is that game? Immortal Redneck, or say like City of Brass, but you put that in a more fantasy wizard-like setting. I'd say it's like kind of a good mix between the two, because that game had a lot more. Or City of Brass had like a lot more melee weapons and more traditional weapons, I guess, with the whip and whatnot. And then this, and then Immortal Redneck was more kind of like traditional, I guess I won't say military weapon, but machine guns, stuff like this. There's a couple different room variations. This one's going to be like a wave base, and then you get to open the chest. I'm going to go ahead and just skip that because it takes a little bit of time, and I'm particularly already pretty happy with the setup I have on my run. I would say that is one thing when you're looking at items that you find on the ground, to make sure you read what they are, or when you do any of the level up upgrade stuff, because a lot of them will be like replaces X weapon with a new one, but it'll be 10% better damage or something like that if you already have a weapon in that slot. And a lot of times too, you kind of want to keep the one, because you upgrade. The sort of continual progression of the game is upgrading each class type, and then weapon, spell, amulet, stuff like that. You upgrade all those for further runs going forward, not so much during the run. Some things you pick up will do that, but generally speaking, the overall upgrade system is going to be done through that. So some weapons you've upgraded like 4 times, and it'll replace it with one you haven't. So even if the 10% damage is there, the weapon you already had is going to be better overall. I do wish there was, like, that's one thing I wish they would maybe add into this, is like some damage numbers on the enemies, just because it's kind of hard to tell what weapon is actually doing better. Like, obviously you can see some enemies fall faster with certain weapons than others. I also thought there was going to be more of a tie to elemental things, but I can't tell, because this is like a fire weapon, and those were pretty much torching the flaming heads there, so maybe it doesn't. Like, I figured like an ice weapon or something would do more, or something to that extent. It seems that almost every weapon has a variation of element, so that's another reason I kind of thought like, oh well, it must be one does better than the other. But I haven't seen that really come into play, and maybe there is, but the damage number thing would help me solidify that idea and go, oh yeah, it definitely is better with this, or whatever. As you saw when I pulled my hands up there just a second ago, each class has a class ability. His is going to be, he like sucks in every item that's on the ground, so it's like a instant pickup for everything. There is one character that I got that does like a increased damage with a certain type, but their overall all mana pools are lesser. The other one turns invisible, and then there's 5 I think in total, and then the other, I haven't found one of them, and then the other one does some different kind of variation of that. These item stuff too, I found that gold doesn't drop all that often, so these things you shouldn't really buy unless you absolutely need them. because you don't necessarily unlock things by finding them. You each they call them quests, but each quest or tower or thing that you travel to will have at the bottom what you'll get by completing it, which is usually like a weapon or spell or overall upgrade or something like that. So you're not necessarily finding things like most roguelikes. You find a thing in the environment and then that unlocks it for future runs. This one's like once you've finished a run in a certain area, that item will then be at your disposal, or it'll be found in chests. But generally speaking, you can start the run with a loadout that you like, but every map will have a different loadout option out of the pool of stuff you have. So it's not like you can go into every run with the same exact weapon. So it sort of gives you that need to kind of upgrade everything. You don't have to just you're not just picking one thing and finishing the whole game with it. They're giving you sort of a reason to experiment, which I think is nice, because a lot of the things will feel very similar. It'll just have a different element, but there's usually some variations. Also, every weapon does have an alternative fire on the right click that will do something different, and that's not per like. Not all spellbooks are going to do that rapid fire thing the fire one does. It's just the fire one that does that. This is a different room type. This one you have to collect all these shards before the door will open. And there's one that's like destroy all the obelisks. There's one that has like a thing where you have to pick out the patterns of switches to hit and stuff like that. There's a good variety of that. There's also some modifiers to the room types, like it'll be like all enemies on here do double damage, or all of them are weaker, but there's twice as many, some things like that. So some more things that kind of vary up the play style, because you're going to be doing a lot of what I'm doing here, just going into rooms and kind of clearing them and moving forward. There's also been a few of some jumping puzzles and other things of that nature. So kind of standard roguelike stuff, nothing too like wildly different than a lot of other ones, but it is, again, in early access, and as it sits, it's very polished already. I have had no performance. I had one kind of performance hiccup at some point. I wasn't quite sure what caused it, but other than that, I've had no like crashes or errors or anything like that. It's been really solid. I think it has something to do. There's a certain type of enemy. It was like a rock enemy. For whatever reason, that one seemed to chug it up a bit. I don't know why or what was different about it compared to the other ones. Maybe it's some kind of smoke effect or something that was on him. But I don't know for sure what that was. But yeah, overall plays really, really well. I'll go ahead and hit my level up here in a second once I clear this room out. You can't do the perk upgrade stuff while there's enemies. Same with like leaving a room and all that. You have to clear it before you're able to go forward. So it sort of locks the tile before you can leave it. I think another major, or not major, but caveat as far as early access goes, there isn't a like insane amount of enemy variety. It's gonna all boil down to sort of like, again, kind of the same thing with weapons. It's gonna be like an element difference, and it'll be like I've only seen really one boss type, which you'll see here in just a second, because I think this is this will be the last room over here that I'll go to before I switch to the boss. But yeah, there's not like a huge variety. It's sort of just like, oh, this one has fire, this one does poison, this one does this, but it's nothing like drastically different. So that could use some work there. But again, early access, it seems like the other game had a lot. I think the other game too, someone was saying that initially had like 16 classes or something like that. Which wouldn't be too difficult to pull off, because most of them are just down to like that one ability that you have changing, and then like some numbers with the pulls and health and all that. So it doesn't seem like that would be too hard to implement. Yeah. So when you do your level up, you have options here. Yeah. This is the one I usually go to, because I'll have two things on it. It'll be like alchemy mana +6, and then here is this, and then these also have upgraded versions of them that you can find as well. I usually do that one because it just gives a random weapon 10% damage, and you'll end up burning through all of them just by virtue of like running out of mana or something like that. So increasing any of them seems to work out pretty well. These ones will be like lose a weapon, which I usually don't do just by virtue of getting the use out of all of your mana. Start of a fight is pretty good. Yeah, I'll go with that one. 20% 4 seconds beginning. It's not bad. Yeah, that'll work. That's sort of like you don't hurt yourself with bombs or fire or any of that, which is cool. But yeah, you'll see it'll be like an ogre guy with a mace. And again, this is what all of the bosses I've seen look like. And I've probably done, I don't know, 50 or so towers. They all look like this. I will say some of the tile sets change as you go on because each run will have a difficulty thing in there, and I'll show you that whenever we get to the main menu there. They also too like it could definitely use some boss variety, just because they all play out like this. Like it's like they'll get to a halfway point, they'll summon these guys. You got to kill them to take the shield out, and then go back on him, and that is literally how every single one of them goes, and they all do like some kind of stomp attack rather, and then shoot some stuff. And yeah, like that I'd say needs the most work in this game for longevity purposes, is just making the bosses a bit different, because it is very, very cut and dry the same thing every time. And that may be, I may just back out and not finish this one because it's not gonna make a huge difference if I do or don't. I mean, it will. I guess for my play, I'll just have to do it again, but you know, it's not a huge issue there. Because I think this one has like 4 or 5 floors to it. Save and quit. You know, I may be able to, if I start a new run there. Yeah, let's do that. And then I'll show you a couple different difficulty settings there. Skip that cutscene. Oh, it's going to make me do that. Ah, dang it. Okay. Yeah, I forgot about this. I'm just going to go ahead and cut the video here, and I will pick up at a different spot. How about that? Okay, welcome back. So that didn't take too long. And I'm also going to have less heroes and stuff here than I do, and items and everything that I do in my regular save for obvious reasons. But yeah, so as you can see on the side here, you have like the amount of upgrades, and then you have your active skill. This is the one I couldn't remember what hers was. Yeah, repel, so it does like a pushback. And then you have passive slots there. I don't know exactly what constitutes getting an upgrade point. It may just be like there's like an overall mastery, and I think maybe then it just gives you one when you get a new level of that. And then you spend gold to actually purchase a thing. But yeah, it'll be like health, mana, health, get your passive health, you know, same thing. They're pretty much the same all the way down on each of them. And then weapons vary a little bit more because their passive effects will be different, because the weapons themselves are all going to be different, but same thing, damage, passive damage, passive damage. And then let's see if I can find, yeah, and then you have amulets as well, so same idea there. And then same deal, charges that you know, because I think I'm pretty sure, as far as I can tell, the amount of charges is per the entire run. It's not just for like each floor. It seems like you have like 5 uses of this thing the whole time. I haven't found that to be a problem, but some of the earlier ones are definitely smaller. And then here you can look at the full bestiary, which again, not gigantic, and there is like I was saying, like 3 bosses, and they're all the same. Even the tutorial boss that I just did off the camera was same deal. It's like, but it was like a goblin, but same thing. It showed like, get it to halfway, here comes these things, and then you go on. So that's something I really wish would change, or they could do something more with that, because they have a lot of cool options with that, I think. And then there's 93 different perks, as you can see. I obviously haven't unlocked anywhere near that many on here. And then that's your overall stats for the runs, but obviously with this save, I haven't done any of that. I wonder if it shows for weapons how many there are. Oh, 32. Okay, so there's 32 weapons, 14 amulets, and then 5 heroes as it sits. So pretty varied. And then I'll show you, this is going to be your main meat of how you pick stuff. You'll see there it has the type of quest, because there's going to be main ones, which is usually locked until you've done a couple things in here. Usually collecting these like map pieces. But it'll be length up to 5, which is, I believe, 5 sets of floors. Or maybe it's more, because I want to say the length ones too. It's like it's not just one floor and you move on. And then threat will be like difficulty and amount of enemies, stuff like that. But then you'll see what you get there is like you get a new type of staff, a new amulet, new perk, so on, etc. And this fills out more. And there's definitely ones obviously that have, you know, higher difficulty, all that kind of stuff. I think that's it though. Oh, it does seem like you can change the difficulty at any point you want to. That's cool. And then I will show sort of graphical options there. So nothing too crazy, but it has been really good. I'm excited to see the future of this game. Just because it is another really solid roguelike in a similar fashion to say like RoboQuest, or like I said, it very much feels like Redneck Rampage, or Immortal Redneck, I'm sorry, which is a super good roguelike if you haven't played that, and you can get that one for really cheap. But it really is reminiscent of that game. But it's good. It's good, and I'm excited for the future of it to see what happens. Like I said, there's definitely things that could be tweaked for sure, but overall a good experience, and I think definitely worth $20. But yeah, that being said, if there's any games you'd like to see me cover or anything like that, please let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that business, and I will see you guys in the next one.